All right, let's talk about what the hell went wrong for the Cincinnati Bengals. Another slow start. They started off 0-2 last year, starting off 0-2 again this year. In fact, in the 5 years Zach Taylor's been a coach now, he started off 0-2 in all but one of those years. The Super Bowl year where they made the Super Bowl, that was the only exception. So, there is a history of them doing this, but still, at a certain point, it does start to become a concern. You can't do this forever. So let's talk about what went wrong in this game. I'm going to start off with this play. This is kind of a good example of just what Cincinnati hasn't been hitting on as much, where it's going to be a one-on-one matchup on the outside. I mean, this concept is a concept that teams just like straight up stopped running against the Cincinnati Bengals for a while because they were just so good at attacking it. You see the route on the screen, and, Jamar Chase is in a one-on-one matchup on the other side, but he isn't outside the numbers, and also the safety's cheating over there, so I understand why Burrow is looking in a different direction. This is actually Mitchell Wilcox, the tight end, who's out wide here, so maybe put T. Higgins out wide could be a way to help out with this. However, still, you're going to see Burrow takes the snap, he looks in that direction, he fires in that direction, and there is a window for this throw to be made, absolutely. This looks like it's about to be a catch. And I would say this is a catchable ball. Wilcox just wasn't able to get both of his feet in bounds there. And this is kind of a real issue that I think has happened for Cincinnati, is just hitting on these plays. These can be such difference makers if you can hit on them. Well, so far early on in the season, they just haven't been able to win. And while I can say, well, okay, throw the ball to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins more, that's a start, and certainly that helps. But also like a play like this, which is a drive they ended up just getting a field goal on, not to spoil alert what's going to happen, because it's a 3rd down and 5. You have Jamar Chase running a one-on-one matchup on the outside. Okay, great. Jamar Chase, one-on-one. Let's see what he can do in this situation. The Ravens historically cover well, but a lot of unproven corners here for them. This is going to be Rocky Ya-Sin, who's had a very up-and-down career up until this point, but let's see how he does against Chase. Right off the bat, you're going to see Joe Burrow takes the snap. He looks over, and you do have, a window to make this throw, right? Again, trying to get the first down here is more important than a touchdown, but you could potentially get both. Burrow's throw is in an area where Chase can kind of make a play on it, but the ball gets knocked away. Good defensive play from Rocky Ya-Sin. So, I'll let you take your pick. Is that good offense and better defense? Is that maybe okay offense, but you expect more from those guys? Kind of view it a bit in that area where it's like, I would say this is good defense. Historically, great offense can beat a good defensive play. This time it wasn't able to do it. Also, something like this, what's going to happen is that this is going to be a 2nd down and 8. It's zone coverage, and you have T. Higgins running a route that's going to be over the middle. So, okay, you can see where this can work, right? You see how it can get into a gap in coverage. But the issue is, okay, if you're Baltimore, what's a route they might try to run? It might be this route. Because of that, Burrow's going to take the snap, and a safety reads this, and he's going to step in front. And right here, you can see why Burrow made this throw, but if there's no one taking the safety deep, then this is not a throw you can make. And for Burrow, that's what you have to be looking at, really. You have to be looking at the 2 safeties and the middle linebacker on this play. This is just, there's no getting around it. This is an error from Joe Burrow. As you see, it ends up getting intercepted and returned. Honestly, I felt like this could have been returned for a touchdown, potentially. Kind of choose to go out of bounds there instead, which was interesting. Worked out all right for Baltimore, but just saying. But it's just a mistake, and that's kind of what the Bengals have to do, is in some ways, I think, just clean up their own mistakes, which I actually think is in a lot of ways a good thing for Cincinnati, because if they were just getting beat on every play, you'd start to feel a little concerned. But the fact that they're maybe not necessarily getting beat on every single play, but instead, they're beating themselves on specific plays, that makes you take a little bit of a breath and say, okay, we're not a garbage team. We're not incapable of moving the ball. We're beating ourselves. And, there were plays of them having good stuff as well. I'm not really showing too many of those because just of the fact that I think it's more interesting to talk about what went wrong. Is worth mentioning. Things did go well as well, but let's get back into more of what I thought went wrong. Something like this for Joe Burrow, where what's going to happen on this play is, I think Burrow deserves some criticism as well. I think that we can talk about the receivers not being able to make the plays and things like that, but I think that you do have to criticize Burrow, and, I thought that we saw a couple of uncharacteristic no throws from Burrow, looking like Justin Fields out there, where it's zone coverage, have a quick route trying to get past the first down marker. Baltimore. Burrow's going to take the snap. He's going to look in that direction, and you see that there's a window for him to make the throw. There absolutely is. Is it wide open? No. And is it going to go for a ton of yards? Also no. But I kind of would have liked to see him make this throw, I think. I don't think it's so obvious. Like, I think you could watch this and say, actually, I think it was the right call to get to your next read. The other aspect of this is I don't think the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line has blocked particularly well. If you look over at the right tackle, he's blocking not a defensive back like the number might suggest. It's Jadeveon Clowney, who's wearing number 24, which is weird. Throws me off for sure. But you see Clowney is eventually able to get over, and he disrupts the play and eventually gets the sack. That's kind of how it works, right? You don't make that immediate throw, and then potentially that gives time for edge rushers to get there. If you can make the immediate throw, doesn't matter if your tackles aren't very good. You can't get a pressure in a second and a half unless it's like a very specific situation or usually a blown assignment. So, you do have to, I think, play a little better if you're Cincinnati here, and they have to make stuff happen. I don't think that offensive line was a disaster on the outside. It was kind of more to inside. I thought had some rough plays, but it was definitely another thing worth noting in my opinion. And that's maybe something that could be concerning is I don't think this offensive line is great. I think Orlando Brown Jr. is good. Had a bad week 1. I think he's good, but the other 4 guys right now just aren't playing good football. And also, like, this final play, we got to give some credit to Baltimore, too, right? The team that caused it to happen. I think that when it happens 2 weeks in a row, we kind of just assume it's the offense is the issue. But, like, it is possible you could go up against 2 good defenses in a row who have good strategies. And this is a really smart play by Baltimore, where what they're doing is it's a 3rd down and 11, and they're trying to take the ball out of Burrow's hands. They're basically trusting their defensive backs to be able to make a tackle where they're going cover 0, which typically means that for a quarterback, got to get rid of the football quickly. Burrow looks over, and it's Irv Smith Jr. that he's throwing to, which, again, I don't know. Maybe if you see this, try to get Higgins or Chase to run a quick route. But, again, that's the kind of where the gamesmanship comes in of if Jamar Chase then sees this and runs a slant route instead because of this, and that's what they do, well, then Baltimore can line up as if though they're doing cover 0, but then drop back, and now you've taken Jamar Chase out of the play on a 3rd and 11. So puts you in a tough bind either way. But Burrow here is going to take the snap. He quickly flips it to Irv Smith Jr., who nearly got out of it, in fairness to him, but they weren't quite able to get it done. At the end of the day, the play calling for Baltimore really worked out, and I think they deserve credit as well. So where do we stand on the panic meter? I think you have to start to get a little nervous. I was listening to Part of My Take this morning, and they said, like, you're figuring out where the panic meter is. You're checking the garage, looking to see, okay, yeah, it's still where I had it. I know where the panic meter is. That's where you're at this point. You're not pressing it. You're not putting it on your desk, getting ready to press it. But, yeah, I mean, it's a little concerning. And, they have a couple of games where they can, I think, a couple winnable games, although they are playing the Rams next, which on Monday Night Football, which, felt like was going to be kind of an obvious Cincinnati Bengals win and almost a weird game to put on a primetime game. But now that actually is a really intriguing game. They play Tennessee, who's scrappy but beatable as well. They play Arizona, so that should be a win. So kind of like you almost have to go 3-0 down that stretch. You have to at least go 2-1. Because then they play Seattle, San Francisco, and Buffalo to finish that. So if they only go 2-1 and are 2-3, I don't know. It's possible that this could be a team where they're going to have to almost pick a wild card team fighting through it if they let things get out of control early on. They have to turn it around, and they have to turn it around now. You have some leeway, but you pretty much gotten rid of all the leeway. Now you have no more room for error, which is kind of what I think the real concern is for Cincinnati. But I still think they're good. I think they're going to turn it around. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.